Hello, Super Kicking with Stephen and Greg fans. Happy to be back. It is after January 5th, Greg, so I will not say happy you know what because it is past the date, but it's a year that's new, if you catch my drift. And I am
Exactly.
pleased to be here and happy to have Greg back. I know you've missed us. Um, Off air stuff, life happens, Christmas happens, New Year's Eve happens. So we are back, ready in action. We could throw some of our MVP talk as we go throughout the show. Greg, I talked off air. It is a busy night here in Indianapolis. We have the Pacers at 7 o'clock. We have the Colts at 8:15, both at home. It is a Colts win and you're in. It's a Pacers riding a 6 game winning streak against the Celtics, Greg. So yeah, we got three guys probably out, three or four guys out. So it should be a tough matchup. And then we get the Celtics again on Monday. I'm not too sure how I like this whole scheduling, Greg, with the NBA where you play the same team a couple games, but it does make for a couple competitive games at a time. So your Suns are still kind of rolling just outside the playoffs, right?
Yeah, they're starting to get their footing a little bit. They've strung together about they had a 4 game win streak.
Okay.
I think it may be five. I think we won last night.
Okay.
So they're up and down, and they finally have their first game where they had their big three playing Beal,
Yeah.
Booker, and Kevin Durant. Um, KD's been out the last couple games
Yeah.
with ankle issues, so but they finally actually got back on the floor together and they started winning right away. So that's a good sign. But right now they're right on the outside looking in if the playoffs started today. But that's plenty of time to get the ball rolling, get that big three used to playing together, and get the role players that they brought in to support those guys. Finally
Yeah.
knowing their role, to steal a phrase, and become a well-oiled machine by the time we get through the second half of the season.
Well, we got the Timberwolves rolling high. I don't know who predicted that, Greg. And the Thunder, one of the youngest teams, if not the youngest team, rolling. And SGA, Shy, whatever, Alexander, is top candidate for, or, right at the MVP. So crazy to see some of these young and upcoming teams. Lakers are at 2-8 in their last 10 games. So
Love that.
yeah, we see how that's going for them. Their age and everything might be finally catching up with them. I did see LeBron James celebrated his 39th birthday last week, December 30th, and he had a Studio 84 birthday, kind of like a play on a Studio 54, Greg. But yeah, he's starting to show his age and whatnot. And my Pacers, like I said, 6 game winning streak. Halliburton, man, I'm just so happy, Greg. And of course, in the back of my mind, being an Indianapolis fan, I think, please God, stay after your contract. But we'll cross that when we get there. But playing at, an MVP level, uh, he tied Chris Paul with the 20 and 20 and zero turnovers game. So 20
Nice.
points, 20 assists. And then he's had like 150 some assists to like 20-ish, maybe 15-ish turnovers. So that's pretty good stats. And he's not making like a bounce pass break here and there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some pretty trickery with his game. So and then yeah, we're just rolling. We changed our starting lineup. We were riding a 4 game losing streak. Change up the lineup, took out a couple guys, and it seems to work out for the better. So we'll see tonight against the Celtics. I think it's gonna be a tough matchup. Just losing our couple of our top defensive guys tonight. So yeah, but I think it's gonna be a fun night. I guess we don't need to talk about your Chargers, Greg. So they are looking for a new coach. Does Belichick? Does he end up there, or is it Harbaugh?
Well, not to get too excited about it, but I did see a little something something on the internet
Mm-hmm.
from I believe he quoted Schefter that there's on the lowest of lows, um, deal already agreed to in principle between Harbaugh and the Chargers.
Mhm.
But because of the Rooney rule,
Yeah.
they still have to
Oh yeah.
go and interview minority candidates, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But if that report's to be believed, credible source, but the magic of the internet, people can cut and paste whatever they want and pass it off as the real thing. So I don't want to get too excited about it until
He better
we get
finish
to
the
the
job Monday then.
exactly until
Is
we
that
get to
Monday
the
night the championship game? I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that happens, I'll be super stoked because that's what we need.
And that's where he's headed. I mean, there's no doubt he's headed back to the NFL at some point.
Yeah, and he's on tape gushing about how much he loves Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking. I forgot who he was talking to, but the man loves Justin Herbert, and he's thinking in the back of his mind, I could do so much with that kid. And looking at the Chargers and
Yeah.
how talented they are up and down both sides of the ball, and going, man, I could be turn this team into killers, and that's what we need because as a 40-year plus fan, we're just soft, man. SAWFT.
Yeah.
Just
You don't want
soft.
another Philip Rivers. I mean,
Phil,
that's what Her- I mean,
Phil,
Her- Herbert's looking like he could be that, right? I mean, not
no, I
able.
mean, the man had broken bones on both of his hands at the same
Yeah,
time.
that's
There's
true.
nothing more he could do.
Yeah,
I think there's a legacy with Charger quarterbacks of being just Iron Men and not missing a game. I don't know if Dan Fouts ever missed a game. I know Philip never missed a game, and he tore his ACL in the playoffs, and he still played the next week. Um, Herbert, I think he was doing the same thing. He got killed last year, and he still played every game, and he played this year with his non-throwing ham broken and in a giant cast. Didn't miss a snap, but it took breaking a bone on his right hand before they take him off the field. So I love that toughness from him. It's that's going to stick. But yeah, we need to shake things up and not and bring in first year,
yeah.
first time head coaches is not cutting it. We've done that. I
Was that
think three
Stanley?
straight coaches.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they need to open the checkbook and bring somebody in who knows what they're doing. And if I hope this report is true, but they need somebody like Harbaugh, like Belichick, who has that history, that uh, record to come in and shake things up.
All right. Well, good talking there. Good to catch up. And pretty much the Colts is win and get in, or sit around tomorrow and see where the chips fall, Greg. So uh,
It's going
big,
to be a good game with the Texans. I'm looking
yeah.
forward to that. I'm going to watch that.
CJ Stroud is back, I think. So
Yeah,
then the Colts Minshew is playing good quality football. I mean, the defense is rocking. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. This pretty much determines, who's in and who's not. So uh,
yeah, early playoff game.
you'd
I like
rather
it.
win. Well, and they've been playing almost playoff games the last 2 or 3 weeks, Greg. It feels like so interesting kind of dynamic to it. That yeah, you just definitely hope you win and get in, so then that way you don't sit around tomorrow and hope that this, and this happens. So,
Yeah,
but we do have people wheeling and dealing and in other places, Greg. So I want to get us caught up on a couple names that were released, and now they're showing up. And the first name, Greg, is Nick Nemeth, obviously, aka Dolph Ziggler, in New Japan Wrestling. So that is obviously meaning, Greg, that he'll be in AEW in about 2 or 3 months, right?
yeah. When is Forbidden Door?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's pretty much
but
it. Yeah.
still cool for him to get in there. And he's already going after their new championship, which was won by David Finlay, who beat Moxley and Will Ospreay. So that's no slouch. So this kind of happened over
No.
the weekend at Wrestle Kingdom, and he was seen with his brother Ryan Nemeth, which they do a lot of comedy stuff together, like on outside of the wrestling ring, Greg. So I'll be curious to see if maybe they do something together in the ring now that they're both kind of out there. So um, any thoughts on it? Like I said, do you think you see him in AEW sooner rather than later because of that New Japan? um, connection.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, the obvious connections are there with the roster of ex WWE talent currently in AEW. It's not like he's not going to know anybody in
Yeah,
AEW and already have a long history with a ton of guys who are there. So he could drop right in and start having those type of matches that he wish he could have had in
that's probably
WWE.
the biggest thing. Yes.
Yeah,
That's why
I
Brian
hope.
Danielson was there over the weekend.
Right, I hope it's like when others leave WWE and go to Japan and they get to reinvent their character. They get to have that edge to them they don't get to have in WWE, kind of like Jericho did with the Painmaker
Yeah,
and other guys do when they go to Japan. They just get to be a little more hard, a little more, um, physical in their style and, show off moves that they're not allowed to use
yeah.
in WWE. And I,
Well, if you watch
I
his
was
Twitter, Greg, he is definitely showing a new character. If you watch the
good.
video
I
I
hope
shared on
so.
our Facebook, him killing zombies was pretty much the thing, almost like an Evil Dead Ash character. So he ended
Okay.
up super kicking his brother's head off as a zombie. So that is
Okay.
that is where we're heading with that.
Nice.
Now I don't know if that translates to a ring presence, Greg, but it is the. I did say I'm amazed at how great these vignettes are for guys that are released. Like between him and Elias's stuff. I mean, this isn't like asking a friend or buddy, hey, can you go videotape something for me? This is like high quality Hollywood film stuff. So they must have either saved their money or they got good connections in the industry, Greg. So
Hey, I bet he's probably got good friends with all his
that probably is more it. Yes.
connections and from staying up alone and probably
Yes.
has plenty of videographers
And
on
Miz,
call.
like him and the Miz are big in Hollywood.
Yeah.
They got some good sparks there. So um, yeah, and then also, as you can see by my next kind of tweet there, Greg, Matthew freaking Riddle showed up in New Japan TV. You had a vignette showing up in a nice Corvette or some sort of souped up car. You see the door open. You see the sandals. Of course, step down first, Greg. But he's going to challenge Tanahashi, who said, "I have no idea who this guy is."
Nice.
So there we go. Matt Riddle in New
Beautiful.
Japan. Now, there's also another caveat to this, Greg, that's interesting where WWE is trying to give some um, bridges to New Japan. So it would be very hilarious if, in the next 6 months, we see that New Japan and WWE work together with these two guys currently in New Japan. But anyways, so uh, Matt Riddle, I'll be. I don't see him. I see him on the indie scene
Hmm.
until he can prove himself clean. Does that make sense? Like until it seems that no trouble's following him.
Right, right. That's what I imagine too, because he was in so much, trouble follows him, and
Yeah.
you hear about
And it
his
wasn't like terrible, outlandish things, Greg, but it was enough that it just seemed like just little things adding up.
right. And there's a lot of talk about his conduct with women, his
Yes.
uh, drug use. Imagine that, Matt Riddle. What? Um,
I mean, he
and
married a porn star, so he's
yeah,
got it. And they have a kid
it's
now. They have a baby, so maybe they're both trying to kind of settle down a little bit.
maybe. And I saw a report that he's talking to Dana White about returning to the
MMA.
UFC
Mhm.
and doing legit MMA. And as a person who missed his first go around in the octagon, I'd be
Yep.
down for that. See what he looks like in the cage again.
Mhm.
He was winning fights before he got kicked out. So it's not like he was washed up and he was getting smoked. He was still winning. But he was kind of like Connor before Connor. He just ran his mouth and upset the wrong people and he got kicked out. So,
And
um,
probably young, like early 20s, right? Because he's
yeah,
late late 30s now. So He's probably still a little bit immature for his age. So who knows? Like now that he has his prime, time doing it. So, but I'll be curious to see what he does. Like you said, does he reinvent himself? That would be the artist he you know show out a little bit. Maybe still have that. I don't know what that comedic aspect to him, but still maybe do some more work rate as they call it. But we'll see how he does because I'll be kind of interested to see if this does change him. But the other two guys, Greg, I wanted to talk about. This picture's kind of bad, so I apologize. Elias is now known as Elijah, essentially showing that he buried his old character. I feel like it's going to be all independent scene for him, though, Greg. I don't think I see him on AEW TV. Maybe Impact. Now that they're kind of, well, I guess now that they're TNA wrestling, I guess I could see him going there and maybe being a big fish there. Do you see
Mhm.
that for him as well, Greg, or do you think AEW gives him any sniff?
No, I don't think AEW is interested. Um,
Yeah,
and that's where I pictured him. If he was going to turn up in another promotion, it would be something like Impact or TNA now.
yeah, yeah.
Um, he would fit there. I mean, big fish in a small pond. People know who he is, and he can, work his new gimmick if it's any different. I mean, the name definitely isn't much different. So,
well,
uh,
well, at least it's not Ezekiel.
true. What I was just thinking about the letter E. I don't get it, but
Yeah, he
um,
does love E. Yeah. Well, I was trying to see if Elijah meant like a biblical term. Now that he's had some Elias, Elijah, Ezekiel, like it seems some biblical type
yeah,
Christianity stuff. But he did bury the Elias character though, so yeah, we'll see what he. But it was a very well done. I will give him that, Greg. Like I said, this wasn't like done in your dad's backyard or done in a green screen. I mean, it was pretty well done. But then now Ali, Mustafa Ali, this is the guy I want to see because he looks like he really wants to prove himself and then come back even better. So
hmm
now he's starting this whole kind of crusade to save wrestling type deal. And look at this. I mean, 3 spots, Greg, already sold out. Now you could say it's not because of him, but it's weird that it did sell out after his name was announced. So, especially the one with El Gringo Loco because that's in Chicago and that's his hometown. So that that's going to be a nice homecoming for him. But yeah,
yeah,
he's got a date in Paris as well, which I guess for being a free agent, Greg, that's pretty awesome to get a Paris trip, right? Out of
right.
just being released and having your contract, you're now free to do whatever. So, what about Ali? Any thoughts on him?
No, the guy's super talented, and I think he was a failure of the bookers because
Yeah,
they look at him and they don't know what to do with him. Guy is super talented. He's good looking, and they look at him and go, "I got nothing." I mean, be a you know be a hacker or lead a
yeah,
vigilante group. Uh, do the whole 205 live thing is they just had nothing of substance for him, and then uh, I forbid he got caught up in the 24/7 business and
yeah.
just doing stupid gimmicks. And um, I felt bad for him because he is way too good and doesn't deserve that type of uh, nonsense. Let him take control of his own narrative and reinvent himself again, and maybe he'll come up with a character that sticks. But
Triple H might
he's
have came
super
a little bit
talented.
too late for him, right? I think
Yeah,
if I think maybe he might not have been as high as he could have been, but we're seeing undercard guys now, Greg, with Triple H's hands in it. Everybody feels like they have some sort of spot,
yeah,
and they feel, it does feel like Attitude Era esque. The low guy to the top guy has some sort of storyline or some sort of spot that they're doing something with. So
yeah.
maybe just came a little. I'd like to see him get back. Do like you said, reinvent himself and see if he can come back around and reinvent himself again. So let's talk about Raw. We had some stuff happen. Somebody showed up, Greg, that I don't think we envisioned seeing. and then made a nice comment. But let's get into some of the first stuff before we get into that because everyone's talking about it. But let's kind of get everything else out of the way first. What about Nia Jax beating Becky? You agree with it or disagree, Greg?
Well, they're going to get some mileage out of it, so having Becky win right off the mat would just kill all momentum that they could conjure out of it. So having Nia be the hill that Becky has to climb, I like that idea.
Yeah.
And she's done the same formula. She's what you call squished everybody, and it's not Becky's turn to get squished. So I like where they
Knocks her
started,
hard
and
again. A nice bloody mouth for Becky this time, Greg.
yep, and just build a story, and you can pay it forward to the next to the Rumble and have an even bigger match. So
You
I
think?
like
Well, that's the
the
thing. I think does Nia end up challenging Rhea Ripley at Rumble, or do we think we see Nia in the Rumble?
Nia will be in the Rumble for sure. Challenging Rhea yet? No. I see that happen on like a Raw or something. It won't be a build up to a huge event.
I guess my only thing is who challenges Rhea at Rumble?
There's a couple. I mean, we still haven't seen Jade do anything, and they've talked her up,
She's
and
got to show up at the Rumble, right?
yeah, she's got to. I think she's one of the surprise entrants, and that could be the setting for her to win.
Yeah.
I think
She's
there's a
training
reason
with
we haven't seen her in a
Natalia.
match.
She's training with Natalia at the dungeon, Greg. So if she's not ready after that, then
There you go.
eek.
Um, there's a reason we haven't seen her in a match yet. And we
Yes.
just
Oh,
seen
yeah.
pictures of
And
her,
that's
and
fine. But I think it's also you don't want to wait too long.
yeah, but it's like Randy Orton at War Games. I mean,
Yeah.
this
That's true.
way she gets a big setting, she gets the biggest stage, and she's in a match where she doesn't have to do,
Too
you
much.
know, yeah, and we just get flashes of how good she is, and
Yeah.
it protects her image, her mystique, and
I guess that's what's
you,
interesting too. If you put her in the Rumble, does she have to win?
I would think so because if not her, who?
Yeah.
And then if she beats Rhea, now she's the new queen and the unstoppable force.
Yeah.
Whereas right now Rhea is, who's going to beat Rhea? So if she beats Rhea, then that mantle goes to her. Who's going to beat Jade? Because she's going to start crushing people, and um, she takes her place at the top of the totem pole.
I guess I do look. I mean, I'm a big Bailey guy, Greg, and Bailey. I would love for Bailey to win the Rumble, and then get kicks out, damage control, which ends up going after Io Sky. So that's my own thinking. I'm going to say Nia and Rhea go at it at Rumble for the title.
Okay.
I just don't feel like there's any other person right now. What do we think about Ivy Nile? I thought she put up a really great showing, Greg, and it does. It's just I feel like now she's going to get back down, so you almost need to like give her some more singles matches. But
Yeah.
hey, one her first singles match is against Rhea Ripley, and Rhea sells so well for littler people. And then Ivy, I mean, she kind of has that pit bull mentality, so I felt like she fit and she worked well. So I just hope she can get some momentum going towards the Rumble. Maybe she can eliminate a few people in the Rumble, Greg, show off that little dog mentality or big little dog big bite type mentality. But what did you
Mhm.
think about the women's championship match for Rhea and Ivy Nile?
It was good. A good coming out party for Ivy. Even on NXT, we don't see her do much, and the
Yeah,
handful of matches she's had, she's looked good, but there's a lot more fleshing out of her character needs to be done. But this first Raw of the new year, get a lot of eyeballs on her, and I think she impressed,
hmm
and she looked good, in there against Rhea. Um, I had my reservations about it, thinking back to Rhea versus Raquel Rodriguez, somebody bigger, and it was just a hot mess. This was entertaining and kept my interest. This is a lot better. So, like I said, Rhea does a lot better with smaller women as opposed to potentially larger women, or maybe it's just the fact that Raquel is so inexperienced, and against some like Charlotte can you know call the plays, so to speak, and they still have a killer match. But somebody like Raquel is not that not there yet.
Yeah.
So you get kind of a clunker. So it all depends. With somebody like Ivy, she gets to call the shots and knows how to make somebody Ivy size look like $1 million. So hats off to both of them.
And we do have to give a well wishes to Raquel Rodriguez. I was trying to find what it said, but she's been diagnosed with mast cell activation syndrome. So it's eczema that just kind of flares up even worse than usual, Greg. Because
Wow.
she showed like a before and after, and like getting better, and her arms were like beet red. She had a big red. Her face was kind of beet red, so it looks like eczema. Eczema like normally is a skin rash that goes on your elbows or knees.
Yeah.
Hers must have flared up pretty bad, um, because of you get hives, swelling, low blood pressure, difficult breathing, and severe diarrhea. So she did not mention if she got the severe diarrhea, Greg, but I'm going to assume that was probably one of the things. Best wishes to her. And then Charlotte Flair is on the men, Greg. Um, I'm wondering if Charlotte's going to do the Randy Orton, like, my knee is at 5% movement, because she's already done like day one of my knee surgery, day two of my knee surgery, after. So
Oh boy.
I wonder if we'll get the Randy Orton comeback story, Greg, where I believe it was with his shoulder, right? Where he's like,
Yeah.
my shoulder is at 10%. And every week he would keep coming back. So,
Yeah. The get
um,
well, Randy.
yes.
Yeah.
But best of, well wishes to both of them. It's like I said, sounds like the Rodriguez stuff. We don't have any timeline. Charlotte's is about 9 months, which I joked, Greg. I was like, wait, 9 months? Maybe a little,
Right.
little baby Andrade and baby Charlotte, maybe. But anyways, so Andrade's
Well,
got free time. Andrade's got free time, Greg.
that's true, but from what I've seen, that they're not doing so hot.
But they
But
are back. Oh no, sorry, that's what I was going to bring up. There's been pictures of them back together. Maybe now that he's free, Greg, maybe
uh-huh.
they're more willing to post. But yeah, they're New Year's Eve. They showed pictures together. I think he was at her. He gave her well wishes for her surgery. So yeah, they must be on the up and up now. Because
Oh,
it was
okay.
weird that they. I mean, and I know how how social media is, Greg. Maybe they don't want it to be known, but it does. I don't know. Charlotte seems like she's had a couple failed relationships slash marriages, plural, Greg. So I mean,
Well,
hopefully
like
at this
father,
age,
like daughter.
yes, I was gonna say hopefully at this age now, you just you can make it work. But anyways, what about Nakamura and Cody Rhodes, Greg? We're finally going to get them one on one. Do we see a finish though next Monday? I'm going to say no. I think they come to blows at the Royal Rumble, and maybe Elimination Chamber, but we'll see. I don't see a finish there this Monday. How about yourself?
Um, I'm gonna say I can see a finish, but a where Nakamura, goes underhanded and finds a way to cheat to win,
Yeah.
and that still leaves room for another match
Okay.
because now Cody's not satisfied, and if you're gonna do it this way, let's have this type of match.
Yeah. That's
So.
yeah.
Um, I love it that Nakamura is being put in these high level, top tier matches, but he's got to win some.
That's and
I
we
don't think
brought
he
that up
beat.
before. Like you keep doing this, but it doesn't seem like he's winning anything.
Right. He never beat Seth, and if he picks up a fight with Cody, and if he doesn't beat Cody, then we're gonna stop taking him seriously after a while. And these vignettes are killer, and the captioning is long overdue. They should have been done this ages ago. So he is super interesting, and the picture they're painting with him is fantastic. But he's got to come out on the winning end of some of these uh, matchups and these call outs. Otherwise, we're gonna stop paying attention.
Yeah, and that's what's funny. Like, if he gets the better of Cody, where does he go? It's an interesting dilemma with him. But I mean, he's looking good. I like the presentation. He's kind of carrying on the Great Muda, which we
Yeah.
also have a new woman version of Great Muda, Greg, in New Japan. Uh, I guess the story is he found her on a mountain and took her in as his own. So, anyways, but there is a
Okay.
daughter of Great Muda in New Japan now, doing the mist, doing the color, and all that. So, uh,
Interesting.
yeah, if you ever want to check that out, just type in Great Muda's daughter. That's kind of what he's going by. Um, interest, not interest. Good usage of stoppage in this next match, right, Greg? With Vinci, I guess I might have missed where he took such a blow. Maybe I just look at my phone for a minute, then all of a sudden they stopped the match, got the referee in there, which really made you wonder what was going on. Adam Pearce announced that Kofi Kingston will take on Ludwig Kaiser. So hopefully Giovanni Vinci's okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was scratching my head and rewinded it to see what happened, and you know, Kofi hit with a drop kick off the ropes, and that was it. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, we've seen this move a million times, so I don't get it. What happened?
I think he
But
just went
maybe,
down a little too high. And I think he came up too high, or maybe
or
Vinci
yeah,
went too low. It,
right, or
it
maybe he
definitely knocked him.
concussed himself.
I was gonna say it definitely knocked him loopy though, because you could
Yeah,
see, him not it just and I think Kofi kind of didn't realize maybe the severity of it. So very just, but good on WWE step in, and get right in there, and just stop the match right away. But
yeah.
things on our bingo card, Greg, ever maybe recently, the return of Awesome Truth. You remember that nice group, Greg, that caused hell for a Hell in a Cell match, and then jobbed out to The Rock and John Cena, and then lost all their steam after that. That's Awesome Truth in a nutshell from 2011, I believe it was. Yeah, um, I know. I remember them interfering in the triple threat Hell in a Cell match, which was Del Rio, Cena, and CM Punk, and then they jobbed out to The Rock, his first match back in years. So, but we saw. I just kind of laughed during this whole match, Greg. I mean, Truth is doing what he can. It sounds like the Miz and JD are going to go one on one according to Adam Pearce. Any other thoughts on that one, though, Greg?
Yeah, I'm just so happy that our truth is back. After Triple H killed the 24/7 title, we haven't heard hide nor hair of our truth. But he's still on the roster. He's sitting at home making money, so I don't
Oh
feel
yeah,
bad for him. But
yeah.
I'm so happy to see him back on the screen, and he's been what we need as far as nothing wrong with having a serious program, but having that little comic relief, that little um, a little side dish of funny. And anytime you see our truth, it was like the Attitude era when Rock or Stone Cold came in the ring and had a microphone in their hand. You
Yeah.
stop what you're doing and you pay attention. The same thing with our truth. When he's in the ring and go back to the little start of um, the Miz TV, and he's calling out the Judgment Day, and our truth answers.
Yeah.
uh, this was okay, stop what you're doing. This is going to be great. And it was. Everything our truth does is awesome. I'm so happy to see him on TV. And this match was just ridiculous. So props to him. And as much as I'm hot and cold with the Miz, you know, that match worked. It was great. So,
Yeah.
um, what normally would have been like a bathroom break match, it was highly entertaining. So, Love this whole segment.
Let's get to Shayna Baszler. Zoe Stark, they won a match. There you go. I guess you didn't. We did get to it, Greg, but we have new tag team champions from a couple
Yeah,
weeks ago. Kaden and Casey, or Katana. Sorry. Uh, yeah.
yeah. I don't know if this whole party girl rave thing is going to work. You know, you kind of got to play to your audience. I don't
Is it a
think this is the
placeholder?
audience
Do you
for it.
think that we're just waiting for another team to show up, Greg? Or
Uh, it's
I mean, Chelsea and Piper were killing it though, which sucks.
true, but I think this is where we're going to get a damage control team, probably Asuka
Oscar,
and
Kyrie,
Kyrie,
yeah.
come get it, and then there's your legitimate champs.
So then
But in
Bailey
the
still
meantime,
doing one without something. Yeah.
yeah, in the meantime, though, we can get over Casey and Kaden and shine a light on them and
Yeah.
see how people are reacting to them being champions.
And we can always hold it
And
longer if they think that it's getting over.
yeah, and the vignettes, see if people like the vignettes. They're getting some screen time, so
Oh
that's
yeah.
good on them. But I think this is the screen test to see what the reaction is. If people care, if they cheer, if they boo, if they don't do anything, which is the worst thing.
Of course.
So,
Yep. That's what we always
um,
say.
so that's what I'm kind of keeping an eye on: is are they getting the pop, or people get invested in the matches? Do you hear anything?
Yeah.
And just wait and see. But I think Oscar and Kyrie is where this is going.
That makes sense. I'm okay with that. Seth freaking Rollins defeated Drew, but we saw another attempted cash in. Damian Priest has to do a real cash in soon, right, Greg? Are we getting tired of the failed cash ins?
Yeah, we're officially in Austin Theory territory from last year
Yeah.
with the failed cash ins. I mean, how many more are you going to give them?
Yeah.
You know, pick a spot, any spot, and let's do it because your time's running out.
Yeah. And then Drew McIntyre. What the hell are we doing with Drew, Greg? Does he get one more shot at Seth Rollins at Royal Rumble and maybe a all quit or something like that type of stipulation?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, why would you? So it has to be something big, put my whole career on the line type of match.
Is he off to AW? Do you think?
Tony Khan would be a fool not to come get him for
Especially
sure.
with Wembley Stadium, and you already know that's probably going to sell out, so you could give him the big spot there if you really want to.
Right. You could have him win a title, the TNT, the international, there's plenty of titles he
Continental.
could go win.
now the new one, the Continental one with Eddie
Yeah,
Kingston,
exactly.
the Triple Crown. Um, and then Seth keeps rolling. But Greg, should we just get into it?
Let's do
Jinder
it.
Mahal's back.
Hey.
Oh wait, that's not the real story. The Rock finally has time in his schedule, Greg, to come after Roman. Where in the world does it happen? Is it in Elimination Chamber or is that Mania?
Well, this smells like chamber because I don't think that unless it was announced that Rock is coming back, he's going to have another run.
Yeah.
Then the whole thing is spoiled because this is like him going up against Cena or another legend of the past. Is it feasible he's actually going to win the title and stay? Rock's here for a one-off and he's out again. If he was to get on, the bump or whatever and say, I miss wrestling, I want to get back in and spend 2024 wrestling, I'd be like, okay, let's go. Now there's that question up there: is he going to win? And it be a legitimate question, but
I mean,
that's what spoils the whole thing because
what I hate is it probably needs to happen at Mania. Now, I guess now the other thinking is the other thinking is they're treating Elimination Chamber like a Mania in Australia. So, you can
Hmm.
play it up there, but especially this year with being in Philadelphia, Greg, you already have The Rock and Roman with the Philadelphia history. Remember when Rock came out to raise Roman's hand when
True.
Roman
Yeah.
won in Philadelphia? Um, but then I hate because I want Cody to, like people said, Cody's got to finish the story though. Cody
Yeah.
can't keep, can you push it out to SummerSlam? And I don't think you could push out Rock and Roman like especially with last night. Paul Heyman bringing it up, and we're going to get 4 people going against Roman at Royal Rumble, Greg. So you're not going to have probably any contenders left there. So I think you got to do maybe The Rock shows up after Roman's match and says, "Okay, let's do this," and then we're off and running towards Elimination Chamber, and
Hmm.
then Cody
Okay.
can win a Chamber match to get Roman at Mania. But I but it's funny because we also have the Young Rock storyline where he's like, only a match this big could happen at Mania, so you could still throw that, and but that's from a TV show, which I understand is TV, but there's definitely ways you could get to both, but it is that weird idea like CM Punk was in the same boat, right? Where he had to job
Hmm.
out to Rock and then gets who did he get? Did he get Jericho at I can't remember what he got, or did he lost to The Rock, lost his title run right to The Rock, but then I can't remember what he did at Mania, if he did anything. But
Yeah.
anyway, so
Um,
you know, I thought he lost to somebody. Did he get Take? No, he got Taker
that's it. Yeah.
because then it was The Rock and Cena. One, one because Cena or two. So yeah, The Rock and Taker and CM Punk. So I guess it's an okay, okay consolation prize, Greg. But still, remember Punk was on such a run with that title, and then The Rock shows up. So yeah, but
I
yeah, it
know.
was. And Jinder Mahal is Jinder Mahal, whatever.
I'm just
What?
curious about how they're doing it because who wouldn't love to see Roman lose to The Rock? I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
We all know that the true head of the table is The Rock anyway,
yeah.
but um, how do you make it feasible that The Rock can really win, know that he's not a full time wrestler anymore?
I mean, I
That's the
guess
only
if you
problem.
didn't have the title on the line, would you let The Rock go over Roman? I'm still putting Roman over no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be clean. He just has to get it done. So,
Yeah,
um, true.
because then whoever does beat Roman looks even bigger because you have Roman like in full out ultimate final boss mode. I mean, who would be left? Roman would be on another level. So, um, and even The Rock, I don't know, did The Rock ever? I mean, and I guess The Rock's run wasn't even that long when you really think about it, Greg. Like total years, at the top. I mean, Roman has a slight edge, just with the way he's been able to do, carry himself and present himself. So, I guess it is interesting they both had to go heel to fully get over. If you think about it as well, though,
True.
because remember
Yeah.
the Rock's early run, die, Rocky sucks. Um, he came out with the his dad looking gear, and has to go over Mick Foley at Survivor Series to really get the corporate championship and start rolling. So interesting parallels to them, but I think it happens at Elimination Chamber because they want to treat that as a big brouhaha. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think Australia's ever got a pay per view. If
Yeah.
I've
I
ever,
just need those promos for a little while, just
yeah,
to wet your beak and get you ready for it, get you hyped for it.
yeah,
And, maybe something happened along the way that we'll actually believe he has a chance of winning. I doubt it, but I need a 6, 7 weeks of those promos back and forth to, so we can love on it because
Yeah.
we know how great Rock is on the mic, and Roman has leveled up many, many times
Hmm.
in the last decade himself. So
Yeah.
it would be great to hear those back and forths. I want to see that, and
Then you
props
throw
out
Paul
to
Heyman.
exactly. Props to the whole this whole segment as with starting with gender and them setting it up, coming out of the break,
Mhm.
and you're returning former champion, getting everybody buzzed, and that hush falling over the crowd, and then Jinder's music, everybody's like, oh,
Mhm.
and you could hear it through the screen. It was like everybody's hyped, ready for it, and oh, it was, and Hunter sitting in the back, like, got him. Okay, it's awesome.
And then
And
even the
then,
Rock segment where he talks all this other junk, all this, and then I don't know if he almost forgot that he was supposed to get there, Greg, but it almost felt like he almost forgot where he was going at first because he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go out now," and blah blah, and like get to that. I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is where this is going." So
right, but that pop though,
yeah,
holy crap!
yeah,
I mean, Rock's always points to his arms, the
hmm,
goosebumps. I got those goosebumps, man. That pop was amazing.
yeah. And you see
I
the
thought my
Samantha Irwin jumping out of her seat when he shows up. I mean,
Yeah, I saw that.
but when he said the head of the table line, that's when everybody's like, "Finally, we're getting this."
Yep.
Probably a couple years too late. And maybe not, because Roman is on a whole nother level now. I mean, Roman has leveled up as high as he can, Greg. So he
Yeah.
probably does do the Rock to do that. So let's get into some quick NXT stuff. Then we'll finish up with SmackDown, getting us some AEW news real quick. But Lyra Valkyria keeps winning. Um, Joaquin Wild, Carlito. Carlito shows up on NXT, Greg. How about Roxanne Perez? Are we liking the turn for her, or is it too much like Cora Jade?
I'll wait and see on it because when the good girl is trying to go to show her dark side, it doesn't happen overnight, and it
Yeah,
takes a minute to make it believable. Um,
and they all kind of start the same. I feel like.
yeah, it's different. I mean, I'm thinking back to Austin Theory last year when he went, you know, totally dark,
Yeah,
and it was almost instant. Uh, he wiped somebody out, and the whole demeanor, his look, his the way he walked, the way he glared, everything
yeah.
was just instant. But with Roxanne, it's going to be different because she's the sweetheart baby
She
face,
still
and now
doesn't look
she's
like a. She just still looks young too.
exactly. She's
She's
got
still
to
got
do
that
more.
baby face.
Right, and
She
it's
just
not like she can go and grow a beard overnight
no,
now.
no.
She's got to do some
Theory
more.
essentially is going back to his old character. It feels like with him and Grayson Waller. So we'll see. Because I was wondering if they might try to put Roxanne and Cora Jade back together as a
Hmm.
heel team. Just that almost combats if maybe Caden and Katana come down there, Greg. So you have a heel team ready to fight them if need be. But what do you think about Ariana Grace, Santino's lovely daughter?
Yeah, she's cute. Um,
she hasn't
the
done the Cobra yet, so I guess that's good, right?
exactly. The whole beauty queen thing is great. We've had a year of Tiffany Stratton and the whole debutante thing happening,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of off it already. But she's got some promise. I'll say. The verdict's still out with her.
Well, speaking of
I mean,
Tiffany, we did see her lose, Greg. Looks like she's going to kind of eat some L's before she gets called up, right? But I think we're going to get the good old, quick or 2 or 3 segments next week of her digging up manure, her being, a milking the cow. People
yep.
joked like this will feel like the simple life of Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton, where they kind of go on the farmhand. So And I'm kind of, I mean, I think Fallon needed a big, it's probably a big win for her because Tiffany is going to be fine, Greg. Tiffany probably should be called up after Royal Rumble, honestly. I'd like to see Tiffany, kind of in some match, maybe a 8 women match at, WrestleMania. So
Hmm.
Fallon Henley picking up the win over her is fine. But what about Thea Hale, Riley Osborne thing? Are we going to get a little love romance out of them two? It looks like.
I've missed that part of the story, so I've been in
She
and
was
out on
very
NXT. So
excited to get a high five by him, Greg, and she didn't want to go up at first to say good luck, but JC Jane had to prod her along. So it looks like we're going
uh-huh.
to do that whole crush thing, which is whatever. And Oba, he did win the breakout tournament, so just a huge hoss of a man that can challenge for any title now. But really, Greg, I want to get to Carmelo and Trick. I'm still calling it, Greg. I think Carmelo's going to screw over Trick Williams. It just feels like Carmelo's being way too supportive in all this, and Trick Williams did not want Carmelo out there. But guess what? Carmelo was out there. So he did interfere. Kevin Owens did that. Thankfully, Kevin Owens used his casted hand to knock out Grayson Waller because that's his new gimmick is to punch people in the face, which is fine. But I still think there's
Imagine
some.
that.
I know, right? What do the stunner and do that. So, anyways, I still think there's some Carmelo's being way too supportive of Trick Williams for my liking. I think we're going to cross a line there sooner rather than later. Dragunov was not cleared medically, Greg, which is why we did not get that title match. And
Yeah.
Dragunov looked pretty beat up, so hopefully those injuries will get healed up soon enough. But any last thoughts on your own end about NXT?
Yeah, I think it's going to be probably another month, but we're going to see that Carmelo did it, and it's already turning that way with him inserting Trick into a match and putting his title
Yes,
shot on the line for
yes,
him.
mhm,
That's not a heel move. What is,
yes.
putting your boy under the bus and expecting to slide out from under it.
Because we haven't fully
Uh,
seen the video yet, so I think that they will bring that out that it was Carmelo all along.
right.
So, then SmackDown real quick. Um, so Kevin Owens won. He's going to go against Logan Paul, and he knocked out Logan Paul. Greg, Logan got a nice little stiff eye from it, so that will be a good match at Royal Rumble. Kevin Owens is always in. I feel like Kevin Owens is never in the Rumble match, is he, Greg? I feel like he's always getting these singles matches, or he's gone against Roman a couple times. Him and did him and Bray, him and maybe him and Roman did the no DQ, but I feel like I haven't seen Kevin Owens actually in the Royal Rumble match in a in a little bit. So, any thoughts there about Kevin Owens and Logan Paul going at it? Does Kevin Owens get that U.S. title back? It's been a
I,
little bit since he's had it.
I hope so. I mean, it's not like Logan's done much with it, and um, he's had his chance to, or had his time to, you know, dance around with it and put it on Instagram and all his,
Patrick Mahomes it.
YouTube. Exactly. It's time to let somebody actually take it and defend it. So who better to KO?
Well, it's funny. Logan Paul last night on commentary is like, "I've been champion for 62 days." I was like, "Wow!" So he's gonna pull that out. But and then we also saw the return of AOP hooking up with Karrion Cross because Bobby Lashley, Greg, is not a heel anymore, which is funny because we wanted the Street Profits to go heel, and now they can't go heel because you're going to go a heel faction. Does that all make sense?
Wait, what? So
Because you
the,
have
the
Karrion
AOP, the
Cross.
Authors of Pain.
Yeah. AOP with
Okay.
Paul. So they even brought Paul Ellering back with them. Because
Okay.
you had Karrion Cross. So we had Bobby Lashley, talk up the year. He wasn't the best year for him. This is going to be their year. we had Karrion Cross come out with Scarlett with new brownish hair. So of course she's not a blonde anymore because she's a heel. Uh, but anyways, um, and then Paul Ellering showed up with Karrion Cross, and then AOP comes out and takes out the Street Profits and Lashley because Bobby was already getting cheered anyway. I mean, Bobby got cheered in the match against Butch, Greg. So we almost had to turn Bobby our face because of that. So, any thoughts on AOP with Karrion Cross? This feels like let's see what happens, and I don't know what else there is for Karrion Cross after that, though, Greg. If this doesn't work out, I mean, what else can we do with it?
True. If Paul Ellering can't help you get over, who can?
And if you can't have a couple tosses, maybe fight some battles with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the AOP. I'm
Yeah.
flashing back to WrestleMania 33 right now, and that triple threat that they had with DIY and
Yep.
the well,
Undisputed.
FTR, formerly known
FTR,
as the Revival.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the most insane 6-man or triple threat tag team matches I've ever seen. And AOP, there are some bosses. I love those guys. So happy to hear that they're back. Like I say, if Cross can't make it work with them, then he needs to find a new place to go.
Yeah. And maybe hopefully they've taken out some of the spookiness of him. Maybe make him more of a legit, just beast type.
Exactly.
But like I said, it's also funny that we kind of Lauren and Lashley and the Street Profits to go more heelish, but now they probably can't. I guess you could get the Street Profits more aggressive, maybe still keep them take out the smoke stuff and all that. But Michin got a nice match, Greg, for Io Sky to beat her, but nice that Michin got a little spot there. Since AJ Styles is kind of doing his own thing, do we see the Good Brothers do anything?
I hope not.
Yeah. They did come out with Michin, and then they went to the back, so she did on her own. But Tyler Bate is finally getting called up, Greg. So he teamed up with Butch. They defeated Pretty Deadly. And then finally, Roman Reigns messed up the whole match with the Bloodline. This is supposed to be Orton, Knight, and Styles. And whoever won would, go to face Roman. Now we're getting a fatal four-way, Greg. Roman versus all three of them. You're doing the or we're doing the women's championship match with Rhea Ripley, aren't we? Again, where we can't decide which way to go. I mean, I guess you could say LA Knight probably should be in there because he did already lose that crown jewel, Greg. AJ hasn't got another shot, but this does feel like we want all three. It's hard to book one guy over the other two, so let's just throw them all three. I was almost waiting to see if maybe Orton would win and then Nick Aldis would take him out. That type of revenge. Because we already have the Orton giving him $10,000 saying, hey, this is for the next time. So
right.
I would love to see Nick Aldis get just, one small run just to say he did it. But he's really doing well in his position. He also talked with Ashante, the Adonis, just giving him some opportunity, which we'll see come play out. Don't know if that means, maybe a assistant general manager role, Greg, or, some sort of role to do that. But fatal four-way at Royal Rumble. What are we thinking? What are you feeling?
I'm feeling bummed because that's not what I had in mind.
It probably should have been Orton.
I can see where they may be saving Orton for WrestleMania, but that's still a ways down the road. So as long as Orton doesn't get pinned, he can always say, I'm not done with him yet.
But then that takes off Cody Rhodes, right?
Right. Very true. I think AJ is going to take the fall in this one, no matter what.
Yeah.
Um,
With his
because
new jeans look, his new black pants look, Greg.
yeah,
No more, no more tights.
I don't know. It's kind of like the old TNA look.
Oh, is that
Um,
okay? I did. I don't know his TNA days. I thought he always kind of wore that, sing or those trunks and kick pads and all that. So interesting.
yeah,
I think he's
um,
already surpassed his time in TNA too, Greg, which is crazy to think. Or this
that's
might
true.
be. I think this would be his 6th year with WWE. Or no, well, I know they said he's wrestled more matches, maybe not time length wise, but he has
Yeah,
already wrestled more matches in WWE than TNA, which is just crazy for me to think. Because when you think of TNA, you think of AJ Styles.
yeah.
So, but anyways, let's take a quick commercial break because we have talked a hell of a lot, and we need some elite performance. We'll get into some quick AEW stuff. We'll probably need to maybe zoom through it a little bit quicker than I anticipate, Greg, just because I am on a little time crunch.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
we will get through it and get to World's End, Mercedes, and all that good stuff. Who's showing up in TNA? Or I said TNA, AW. So quick elite performance, then we'll be right back. All right, so we'll maybe do some quick World's End talk, Greg, because we didn't get to preview or anything like that. Garcia got a huge win. It looks like 2024 could be the year of Garcia, Greg. Daniel Garcia might finally get moving in one direction. I think we still both agree him and BCC would be a slam dunk,
Hmm.
even if we were Yuta still there. But anyways, there. Miro beat Andrade, and Andrade is on to other pastures, Greg. I think we both can agree WWE sooner rather than later, right? Any thoughts there on Andrade?
No,
Oh,
I'm
and
sure that
Miro back with CJ, by the way.
uh, it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when. I was sure this was actual Andrade's, end of his contract or his last match or whatever, but I had heard something about it. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, if that's it and he's done,
He
he's
did put
back
out a
to
thank you to Tony Khan and everybody. So, yeah, I would
okay.
say
So
he's off to.
it's official. So yeah, he'll be back in WWE before we know it.
Yeah.
Um, and the
What about the pairing of Miro with CJ? Should they have just done it at the beginning?
probably I guess they needed to give CJ some individual spotlight for a few minutes before
If it really,
they brought her in. But in the end, it doesn't really make a difference. We all associate those two together anyway. So
I guess it'll be
um,
interesting to see her kind of as herself. You know, not Lana. No fake accent or anything like that. Tony Storm keeps picking up wins. Greg Swerve Strickland defeated Dustin Rhodes. Keith Lee, Greg. This guy can't catch a break, can he?
nope,
I mean,
not in a good way anyway.
he's hurt again. It sounds pretty serious too. So it's like, and he just looks bigger. Like he looks a little bit, maybe not working out as much, but yeah, Swerve Strickland picks up a win. The faces beat the heels, Greg, um, with Sting, Darby Allin, Jericho, which Jericho had an interesting weekend, didn't he, Greg? With allegations coming out, possibly, and the crowd chanting NDA at him and booing him. And then his wife was at January 6th back in 2021. It's I don't
I
know.
didn't hear. I heard something about allegations, but I don't know what they actually were.
Yeah.
Is
Now,
he going
apparently,
the
it was
Matt
more
Riddle
of
route
a,
and doing?
from what, now, it's funny because the guy who reported it said, I'm no fan of Jericho. And I'm like, okay, that's probably not a good way to start something out. I mean, and there's no, the allegation is, possibly enticing a female wrestler to his backstage locker room
Mhm.
and asking, for favors for a higher spot on the card. And then that said
Mm,
wrestler ended up asking for her release soon after.
interesting.
So it was Kylie Ray, which, remember, she's the bubbly, uh, she's kind of going through some different bouts of depression. She's pregnant now, Greg, but uh, she did like a couple of tweets about it. So it makes you wonder, and then Jericho's saying he's never signed an NDA, so he could talk about the Punk stuff. But then there was a lawyer from AEW that tweeted back at him saying, "No, you definitely signed an NDA." So I don't know, it was an interesting. Jericho is towing some lines, I think, Greg.
You know
As
what?
far as just
And
swarminess about him lately.
yeah, I wish I could say I'm surprised about it, but I'm really not.
Yeah.
Um, he does kind of have that air of somebody who's capable of something like that, and the
Well, I think
match itself.
go ahead. Sorry.
Think about that match. You know how I feel about staying in matches
Yeah.
and
Well, then
watching
you had
that match.
Jericho in there.
I'm starting to feel the same way about Jericho because
Yeah.
everything he did just looked clunky and awkward and off. Um, I saw one drop kick where, it was either like the right leg was up in the air and the left leg was like 6 inches off the ground, and he just belly flopped onto the mat. It was like,
And we know
man,
Jericho's hit.
this
I mean, Jericho's got to be hitting the end of the road. And I
absolutely.
would hate for him. This is not the way you want to go out. It's just like we talked about CM Punk. Like, you don't want to go out looking like defeated, having this kind of dark cloud over you too, Greg. I mean, if you're going to, so, because, I mean, it all comes back to, guess what? When WWE calls it for the Hall of Fame, Greg, he's going to answer that phone right away. Now, if he
Yep.
has all this stuff out there, that phone is probably not going to ring. He's probably calling them saying, "Hey, I retired. You wanted me to put me in, but yeah, just at least Guevara got the win. I mean, out of all that, so Julia Hart picked up a win with Sky Blue, Greg. So it looks like we are going to move ahead with them. What do we think about Christian? So he loses Adam Copeland, Luchasaurus, sorry, Kill Switch, wins the contract, has to give it to Christian, and then Christian is a two-time champion now, Greg.
Well, it's they're playing out the story pretty well. Everybody gets their moment. Copeland gets the distinction of being the shortest reigning TNT champion ever now, but he
I
beat
guess he
Christian. He
technically did
pinned
get
him.
a title.
He did.
I can't say he never got a title, Greg.
Exactly. For about 60 seconds, he was the new champ. And then, it fits the mold, the character for Christian to coerce Kill Switch to
Yeah.
give him his newly won. So now we're kind of waiting to see, okay, when is Kill Switch going to stand up for himself?
It's
And
got to, and that's got to happen soon because the crowd was so into Luchasaurus on Wednesday night. But
and he's playing up to it. He's
kind of lurking in the
even through the
back.
mask, he's got that should I kind of
Yeah. Yep.
thing happening. So he's playing it up, and there'll be that moment where he actually does it. And,
Well, I was hoping they would play out on Wednesday, like Christian's like would have said when he told Luchasaurus, which he never kind of he never did. So, Eddie Kingston, Greg, how about that? Eddie freaking Kingston beats Moxley in front of Brian Danielson, and then shakes hands with Moxley afterwards. And now he's our first Triple Crown champion of AEW. I mean, Eddie Kingston kind of deserves all the flowers from last year, Greg. Kind of put through. I mean, I'd almost give him like a breakthrough. Really, coming through, and it's all thanks to Cody Rhodes. If Cody Rhodes never gets him on that one-off, Greg, I don't know if Kingston's there, which is crazy to think, but awesome to see Kingston and just the promos that Kingston cuts afterwards, on the
Mhm.
AEW digital. I mean, Kingston, he's pretty awesome to watch because he's
I
doing
agree.
it for himself. He really, which feels weird to say, almost sounds selfish, but he's being himself. That's probably more what I meant to say. So,
True. He's just real, and
yeah.
he reminds me of people in my own family. I think anybody who watches him, he has that thing about him. He reminds you of somebody you
Yeah.
know. It's just on a street level, on a basic level, he's the everyman, and so
You're
you
feeling
can't
like you
not
can
root
do
for
that,
him.
like a Tommy Dreamer back in the day.
Exactly.
Or we almost, it's
Um,
funny because with Tommy Dreamer, we didn't want him to win the big, we almost didn't want him to win the big one because then it's like, what would be next? So, but with Kingston, I still feel like there's that aura of like, he's still got to try to prove himself.
right.
So,
I mean, he never beat Daniels before he had to beat him. Never beat Mox before he had to beat him. And I don't know how in the world he came back from the being two matches down in the classic
yeah.
to actually getting back and winning. So, um, I missed those collisions where he did that, but
Yeah.
um, it happened, and that this whole match was very different for these two. I like the slugfest and everything, but at the end of the match, it was like, what just happened? He knocks out Mox with the Hurricane and gets the pin, and it just seemed like, huh, that was it.
Yeah.
No, where's the tax and the violence and the blood and all the? No, they just punched each other to death, and one of them fell
But
down,
then
and the
again,
other covered him. And
it almost feels like that was the type of match they wanted. Just they slug it out, not worry about blood and guts. You could save that for another day. Maybe if they
true,
go back at it.
not wrong. Oops. Is he still here?
Try this again. So my computer was at like 30, 50% just like 10 minutes ago. And then your computer had 9 minutes left. I was like, all right. I guess we're live, so that's cool. Let me bring up the I'm sure.
No, it's all good.
But anyways, okay. Oh, so anyways, Eddie Kingston wins. All right, well, we're still live, so we're
Okay.
good. Anyways, Samoa Joe gets the win, which felt like a weird flat ending for me, Greg, because MJF, like they did the, usually they do the one arm, right? But then
Right.
they did the three times, which is the old school tap. I remember that
Yep.
with like Hogan back in the day, like because he would do the Hulk up at the third. So yeah, this ending felt a little flat because it almost felt like Taker and Brock, where you weren't quite sure that was the three count. Um, so we'll get into that aspect first, Greg. Samoa Joe wins. I think we're both excited about that. The
Absolutely.
Devil is is MJF is Adam Cole with Wardlow, with Mike Bennett, with Matt Taven, and Roderick. Sorry, duh. So pretty much you're adding Wardlow there, Greg. But then even we saw Wednesday where Wardlow's being positioned. So, which I still think is heading out the door sooner rather than later. But that's a whole nother conversation. So, what do we think about the match? And then Adam Cole's the devil, Greg. Let's hear your thoughts.
Love the match. Great match. And um, I was as surprised at the ending as you were because um, I didn't get to watch it until middle of the week. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, last night.
Yeah.
And I saw something that MJF had found a way to win. So I was surprised that Joe won. And watching the match, great match. But they drew it up perfectly. And it was a banger of a match. But that ending, where, like I said, he does the one arm falls down, two arm falls down,
Mhm.
and on three, his arm kind of just teeters on his knee, which is
Yeah.
propped up somehow.
That's what I.
And I was like, uh,
That's not a
and then the
three.
referee calls it off. I was like, is that three? Is that
Yeah.
really happening? I was expecting something else to happen.
And even I felt
And
like the timekeeper and the announcer were just kind of like, oh, it's the ending.
yeah, so it was anticlimactic. I mean, that's the move. That's to coquina clutch. Nobody gets out of it. But Max doesn't go down to it the way that everybody else does. So that's
Yeah.
like, okay, is this real? And it kind of took some of the um, took took something off of it, a little bit of flavor off of it.
And I think we
But
just were waiting on the devil, right? I mean, that was the
yeah,
ultimate end game.
I'm glad Joe won. Joe deserves it. He's amazing. Everybody loves him. Even in New York, they still love him. And and when he took the belt and he walked out with it, and nobody was restarting the match, and nobody was saying that he reversing the decision and everything. I was like, okay, Joe wins. All right, let's go. Um, but the reveal of the devil, um, I like that too because they kind of once he did the blackout, they only filmed him from the knees up and his hair covering his face, so it could have been anybody else. And then of course, it's Adam Cole, and it kind of
Once
called it.
Adam Cole was out there the whole match, I was like, okay, he's the devil. You know what I'm like? I mean, I guess you could have played it up. Maybe he comes in the middle of the match, Greg. But I just felt like, and even remember they showed him messing up with giving him the ring. So like you could play that aspect up as well. I guess
Yeah,
it would have been a little funny if like he had the mask in there and then he drops the mask, as he's like fumbling with the ring. But um, yeah, I mean Adam Cole, and like we said, there was a screenshot from August that showed the mask in the middle of the background
yep,
between Cole and MJF, which you could still play up. Okay, maybe it is MJF, but very interesting play out there. This is one of the times that long term booking really played out the right way. And now I guess the downfall is with Adam Cole being hurt, Greg. When is he ultimately going to get what he ultimately wants, which is the AEW title?
right. And it really did make sense because um, it's kind of I was figuring if the whole bidding war of 2024 is a real thing, then why would you have Max
Oh,
with the
MJF
belt?
is re-signed. I already,
Right.
yeah,
And again, on the low, it's
yeah,
already been done, and we're just
yeah.
playing this out for storyline. And now with
Which
Joe
kind of
taking it
sucks,
over, you
but
know, maybe it's a possibility. Maybe this is the end of the road, and we're going to see Max with a WWE logo on his gear soon.
yeah.
Um, so I'm glad for that reason that they took the belt off of him. They can still do this white hot feud with the
Well, they
Devil,
pulled him
Adam
off the
Cole, and
roster, so now they're playing that aspect up too. But yeah, he's obviously re-signed.
yeah. So
And he's
um,
still, what, 24, 20, 24, 25-ish. So let's
yeah,
say he has a 5-year deal. He could still go WWE in his prime. Mid 30s in a way. So, maybe you get another run out of him, and then, it's like an athlete keeps working for that big money contract, Greg. Maybe the next contract is the big money one. So, um,
right.
I would love to see him show up at the Royal Rumble, but that's not going to happen. So,
Yeah, it's the right time to take it off of him and leave people guessing
yeah.
because it's gonna be out there until it's revealed that
And he's
he's
got legit
re-signed already.
injuries he's trying to deal with. That he's hoping not to do surgery. Because if he has surgery, Greg, then he's out, months and months. So, maybe he could play up an Adam. Because then that's the thing, if you're hurt, and then Adam Cole's hurt, where's the payoff
Right.
for that? So, um, the other big news was, oh, good old Sasha Banks, Greg. So first, it was all that there's talks with WWE, but they've stalled. So of course that means she's on AEW, and they thought she would be there Wednesday night. She wasn't there. Instead, it was Deonna Purrazzo, Greg. But I have a lot of thoughts that Mercedes will end up in AEW.
Hmm.
What about yourself?
I know. I've seen the same thing. Is that she, like I said, we said she's been getting paid by Tony Khan. She's been on All Elite for a while now. She just hasn't made her debut,
Yeah.
and now we see that that's not the case. And then we see she's may or may not have talked to Triple H, and now that's not the case.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm if I was to place a bet right now, not gun to my head, but
Yeah.
here's $20 and I'm going to give you 1,001 odds. What happens? I'd put it on her being at the Royal Rumble
Yeah.
and being an entrant. If she hasn't made her debut in AEW by now, and that ankle is healed, she's ready to go. It's kind of what are we waiting for? There's no other big, massive event coming up anytime soon. We just had one, and the platform, the stage was right there, and we didn't do anything. Um, no Vince this time. When she left WWE, Vince was still in control, and breath of fresh air with Triple H running the show.
Well, she knows what
This
he
is more
expects.
reason for her to come back. So um, I'd take that money, I put it on Sasha going back to WWE and being an entrant in the Rumble, a surprise entrant. So that's where I'm at.
And wherever she goes, I think we're going to be tuning in just because I want to kind of see what she's doing now. Like how is she changing up her character a little bit? What has she added to her repertoire? So,
Yeah.
Real quick, may just want to jump through some of this. So we did talk about Adam Cole. I think the big story there, Greg, is him mentioning Wardlow will win the title, then give it to him. So yeah, that will not happen, Greg.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, doesn't it? I don't even know if I see Wardlow win the title.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I think Wardlow will get the title shot, probably loses it, and then they kick him out of, Undisputed Kingdom, as they're calling themselves. And then Wardlow is off to WWE. So
Right.
that's why.
It's the pinnacle, but Max or Adam is now Max.
Yeah.
You got your tag team champions, you got a heavy, and you got the mouthpiece that's the leader.
Yeah.
So it's the pinnacle all over again.
Do you think anybody gets gold in Undisputed Kingdom? Do you think Roderick gets the Orange Cassidy's title?
I can see it. I can see him either getting the um, Cassidy's or Eddie
Could
Kingston's title.
he get the Triple Crown? That'd be a lot of gold.
Well, I don't know if Kingston's going to defend all three belts every time. I mean,
Well, no, that's
if I was him, I wouldn't. But
that's what it is, because it's a Triple Crown championship essentially, like in Japan.
all three belts are always on the line. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, because that was the whole point. Because he wanted to show, what he could do and put up. Yeah, because I'm almost positive in New Japan when they say Triple Crown, it's all three titles are on the line. Because he joked, he's like, now I have to lug around all this gold, lug around three titles. So yeah, Orange Cassidy defeated Dante Martin. I will say Dante Martin looks like he's bulked up a little bit in the, Greg. His face is filled out a little bit. So I'm thinking he's filled out a little bit to give him, some weight on him, because he always looked kind of like, not lanky, but there wasn't much to him. So Orange Cassidy keeps rolling along. What about Mariah May and her debut? Any thoughts?
It was all right.
I keep forgetting she's English. Like I keep forgetting, like she's got that accent. But the big story obviously is Deanna, right?
Yeah.
Debuted in her hometown. Steve Macklin, her husband, was there, kind of on the backstage. Her dad was in the front row. She said, "That's probably the perfect spot for her." Greg, AEW.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what she can do. I mean, because I haven't really watched her since she was in NXT.
Yeah.
So,
She
but
did one or two squash matches on Raw, I think.
She was.
Did she lose to Nia on Raw? I think she lost to somebody on Raw like once or twice. So,
I believe, but she had a reputation for being a kind of a toxic character in Impact or TNA or things like that. That's why people wouldn't sign her, right?
Or no, you're thinking of Tessa.
Or am I thinking Tessa? Okay.
Blanchard. And she's kind of shown up in Mexico lately. So I'm going to be curious, Greg, if this year, she's totally sucked. But Deanna always has a good reputation. She was their knockout champion for a little bit.
Yeah, the fans ate it up for sure. So, of course, the Jersey thing doesn't suck either. Yeah.
What about Christian Cage? Him saying Adam's done, blah, blah, blah. Mama Wayne, is she going to get Vicky Guerrero heat, Greg, I think?
Yeah, she's going to get heat just for standing next to Christian.
Yeah.
And Christian, I'm giving him mad props because unlike Sting and Jericho, Christian knows where his bread is buttered. Being on the mic, and his wrestling style is conducive to what he can do. He doesn't still try to do moonsaults and stupid stuff like Jericho and Sting, diving off everything that's not nailed down. Christian is, first, he looks timeless. He doesn't seem like he's aged a day in like 30 years. And he just has good, solid matches, and he doesn't try to do more than he's capable of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so he doesn't fall into that same category as Sting and Jericho, Billy Gunn. I'm still enjoying him now more than ever. He's always been kind of a, Miz-like, take him or leave him kind of dude, but he has been so good.
Goes up and does the work.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying him.
My thing with Mama Wayne, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this whole slow cadence talking like Christian.
Well, you can tell she's never done this.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if she has any wrestling experience, but you can tell she's never done this before. So she's got it.
I'm like, they must have opened up a checkbook for her though, because why else would you want to be on TV? So,
right.
Speaking of a good year, I'm expecting big things for Takeshita. Got a big win over Darby Allin, really good match. Maybe he finally gets going with Don Callis, but and Any thoughts on Takeshita picking up a win over Darby Allin?
They're doing what they should be doing with these Asian talents that they're bringing over from New Japan and
Yeah,
giving them that time, putting them in with you know, the top stars
yeah,
and giving them that moment to shine. And that match with Darby was really, really good. And it was strong, it was powerful, and I enjoyed it. That finish was really, really, really good.
yeah.
That running knee strike he's got looks sick. It looks better than the Kishasa Shinsuke. So, great credit for working on his
The
craft,
suplex
being,
is on the ramp.
yeah.
Matt
I mean,
Jackson, eat your heart out.
the kid has something and he's showing it, and they're giving enough time to do it instead of just saying, this guy's amazing, watch him. And, they're letting him go out and improve it. So,
Maybe the Young
by
Bucks.
the end of
I can't
this
wait to
year,
see what they do back.
yeah, by the end of this year, this guy's going to have some gold on him. I'm
Oh,
sure of it.
Red Beretta won a match. Anyways, and then Swerve Strickland defeated Daniel Garcia. There was an after shot that people have been posting. Greg, Tony Khan came out and talked up Daniel Garcia. So I think that's going to say a lot for Daniel Garcia where he's headed. But we're revisiting Swerve and Hangman, Greg. Like people said, once you've drinking the blood of your opponent, how much what other match could how much further can you go? So I mean Swerve probably has to beat Hangman again, doesn't he? He's
Yeah, I
already
mean,
2-0
because
against him.
Drew, I mean, Heyman's got to get a dub at some point. But
Oh
I don't know where do you go after you staple gun somebody in the
yeah.
face?
With
I mean,
papers and after you've had the last I mean I guess you could do a lights out match that doesn't count, Greg, and
right.
Hangman can win there. So technically he beat him, but it doesn't count. So at least you have Hangman in the win, in a win column moral victory type. But yeah, so Rampage happened. Here's the results. Mark Briscoe and the Hardys won, Greg. The
Yeah.
Hardys did get confronted by Private Party, in case people still cared that Private Party's back. Which,
Yay.
yeah, I know. Speaking of guys that shouldn't be together, like Sex Gods are back together, Greg.
Figures.
Ugh.
Saw that coming.
Why don't we? Yeah. Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander picked up a win. Sheeta defeated Anna Jay. Sheeta does not need to be beating Anna Jay, does she, Greg?
No.
No. So,
Um, there's no role for shit. And where's Britt Baker? I mean, the
so it's
the
funny.
whole
She brought up a tweet from Britt Baker. Speaking of that, Greg, where she said, "What was it? I thought she had it somewhere." Oh, because it said I guess people are tired of seeing me, so then I just won't show up anymore. So yeah,
Brett was the whole women's division. It's lacking without her around. So
yeah,
I don't know if she's injured, what the story is with her. I saw a great piece of guesswork when we're talking about who is the devil, that Britt Baker is the devil, and
yeah.
it would make sense because you know of what's happened to Adam, and
Mhm.
it's not wouldn't be the first time we've seen a woman leading a stable of men. And go back
Yeah,
to Baby Doll in the old days, or Missy Hyatt, or uh, Woman from WCW. So it's been done, but
maybe
hasn't
you
been
could
done
still
in a
put her
very
in
long
there,
time.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then Will Yuta picked up a big win over Commander. So, but tonight we're going to get Charlotte, North Carolina. Now you're in South Carolina now, right, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay, so never mind. Okay, I was
So
going
I
to say
wish
you
I
could
could
have.
be there,
I
but
know because
yeah,
this looks like
no.
a pretty good collision. FTR and Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews are going to go at it. I thought the House of Black had a really good promo, Greg, where um, they were talking to FTR saying, you know, you're not going to be able to hug your kid because I'm going to take everything away. So that should be a nice grudge match there. Eddie
If I was in
Kingston.
Charlotte, I would be there tonight. That's for
That's
sure.
and I couldn't remember where you were, so I apologize on that end. But
But
Eddie
I'm in
Kingston,
Charleston, but they will be in
Charleston.
Charleston in
Okay,
2 weeks from now for
okay. So then that's
Dynamite, and yeah, so
yeah,
I will be there for
yeah,
that for
see him,
sure.
yeah. So then Eddie Kingston makes his first defense against the Continental Championship, and I'm pretty sure that's all three, but I could be wrong. Maybe it is just the Continental one, but he's going to take on Trent Beretta, Sting and Darby Allin, blah, blah, blah. They're going to face the Workhorsemen. Oh, and Ric Flair will be there, Greg.
Of course he
I mean,
will.
it is Charlotte, so.
It's Flair
Uh,
country. That's right.
did we ever say, who do we think is the, I still think I want Darby Allin to be Sting's final match, right? At Revolution.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Do you
thinking.
have, is that, okay.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, so. Other than that, any final calls for the end of the matter, Greg?
Yeah, it's just a few things that I've seen and or is inconclusive as far as what the results are. I saw that there was supposed to be the big announcement from HBK about something,
Oh,
and I
Triple H
saw
was just announced
or Triple
yesterday,
H,
and it
but
ended up
maybe
being
something with
Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. Okay,
Yes. So
uh,
Money in the Bank will be in Toronto on June or July, and then they'll have a weekend in Toronto.
okay,
We have not heard where SummerSlam will be because so we'll have Australia for Elimination Chamber, Mania here in the States, Backlash in France, and then Toronto will have Money in the Bank. So I'm going to assume SummerSlam will be here. And I've heard Cleveland, Greg, which I kind of want to happen because I'm not that far from Cleveland. And then the Bash in Berlin at the end of August. So we're getting quite a bit of internet. Triple H has a vision, doesn't he?
yes, he does. He want to make it global for sure.
Yes. So
Um, but I saw something about a possible working relationship with the new TNA. There's
yes,
some cross promotional stuff there, so I was hoping there's something to that, but at least
because
maybe with NXT and TNA.
yeah, because now TNA said they have premium live events,
Right.
which you don't really use that terminology like just out of nowhere. So,
Exactly.
but somebody had brought up, what about Worlds Collide, like a TNA versus NXT, and I think
Invasion angle thing.
that could be pretty cool to see.
Um,
And if they could get the library of Impact Wrestling, well, then you have all the AJ Styles stuff.
yeah,
Karrion Cross was there, right? He was Killer Cross.
true. Yep.
So you have that aspect. So yeah. Well, CM Punk had a small run there. Him and Raven did some stuff back in the day against each other. So yeah, like we've always said, Greg, now's the time to start bridging some of those gaps to give wrestling fans cross promotion. I think
Exactly.
stop burning the bridges. Especially now that we've had guys and girls cross over. You've had CM Punk show back up in WWE. We have Jade there now. You have Edge in AEW. I mean, yeah.
Right.
Nick Khan, Tony Khan. Let's just let's help each other out.
Exactly. And you had Mickey James bringing the TNA titles over
Yeah.
to the Royal Rumble last year. So, and
Which
now who's
never
over
did
there?
see
But
that never did give anything else. That was very interesting. They never.
right.
Maybe what they could do, maybe you could put maybe at least the pay-per-views of TNA on Peacock.
Sure.
I wouldn't mind that because I'd probably sit and watch the pay-per-view, knowing I already have Peacock,
Right.
and that can maybe
And
get you to tune in wherever Access TV is. So, but
and now we got the artist formerly known as Naomi over there. So
Well,
it'll
and
be
now the word is she's probably back because I think
uh,
her contract is up soon.
there you go, Rumble.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't know how soon, but and I guess we didn't bring it up, but Velveteen Dream, aka
I was
Patrick
about to
Clark,
say that.
finally.
Mhm.
Now, my only thing with his apologies, Greg, there was nothing to any victims. It was all, I'm sorry, Sean. I'm sorry, Paul. I'm sorry, fans. I'm sorry, mom and dad. I'm sorry, family. But there are victims in this, obviously.
Yep.
And that makes me a little like, and then yeah. And
Yeah.
how, it feels a little too late, doesn't it? I mean, these allegations have kind of been swept under the rug now. So,
Well, it's been what, 3 years ish
yeah, probably.
since it's been going, so it's been enough time to sweep it under the rug and for it to dissipate. I'm still so mad at that dude because I know right now, had this not all happened, that he would be one of the biggest stars in the company
Probably would, yeah.
because he was that good. And I hate androgynous characters, but he took it to a level that
But we don't
nobody
know
else
where he
has.
could have went either. I mean, they could have changed it up. You know,
True,
they could have morphed
especially if Vince was in control.
it.
Um,
It was starting to morph anyway with the stuff with Adam Cole. Like he was showing more serious, but
yeah, he could have turned into Black Goldust, but
yeah,
with Triple H in control, he would have been amazing,
yeah,
and he still can be. And I was surprised seeing um, this tweet, this apology,
yeah.
and wondering, is Triple H going to open the door? Um,
Well, doesn't that then that's what it feels like? He's trying to. It's all on his end,
Help
which
him
is
open the
fine.
door, right?
I mean, because at this point, it's probably going to be on his end. I don't think
Yeah,
Triple H is like looking up his phone number. No offense, or even Shawn
exactly.
Michaels, because I think Shawn Michaels tried to put a lot of. It sounds like Shawn Michaels was really trying to help him along too. So
Yeah, he doesn't need to. Triple H has all the star power in the world right now, and he doesn't need Velveteen Dream for sure. Um,
or else we'd have to. I think you're going to have to reset completely, right? Like give him a whole new. I don't. But just to really remove himself from that stuff.
yeah,
I mean, it's good that he put it out there, but it also feels like, hey, I'm still here. Somebody, do something with me. But and I do also think nothing to any victims. And I
Mhm.
understand that's probably going to mean that you're guilty, but don't we usually appreciate? We usually forgive people quicker
Exactly.
when they admit to their faults. I mean, I keep going back to Bill Clinton. He was more popular after the fact that he came out and said stuff. Like, yes, I had sexual relations with that woman. Then guess what? His popularity went up because I thought
Right.
people saw this, aspect to him. So I
He's a
don't know.
common man. He's Eddie Kingston.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
I think if he would have brought that up, maybe more, or maybe more wrestling, reporters would be like, okay, I'll give you a quick interview, because that was the thing too. It's like, I think he's trying to get that, he's trying to do the podcast tour, clear his
Hmm.
name. And people don't want to do that if you don't feel genuine. And yes, I think he apologized to the right people for the most part, Greg, but then there's also the aspect that he never once said, victims I might have, hurt.
Right. Hmm.
So yeah, but I think if he wants to come back, I think you don't come back as Velveteen Dream. You come back as Patrick, I don't know, Patrick Clark, whatever. So it's got to be something removed from that because I think you want to start completely fresh. So, but maybe New Year's Eve, maybe he was visited by 3 ghosts on New Year's Eve, Greg, because it is funny too. January 1st, he comes out with that apology. So, um, yeah, but other than that, yeah, I'd be interested. Naomi back, Trinity as she's known. It's funny because I think I'd love her with the bloodline, but then
Hmm.
Jimmy is on Raw, so you would think if you're going to be back, you want to be back with your husband
Right.
on the road and whatnot. But And they might have a couple more days off anyway, so maybe it would work out. But yeah. So, anyways, anything for the good of the matter?
Well, good luck to your Colts, and looking forward to tuning into that because like we're gonna get a playoff game a
Got a
week early.
prime time slot for us.
There you go. Shout out to Damon. He said he's going to be in the skybox for the game.
Yep.
Happy New Year to the BW crew, all the homies, and looking forward to a great year for us. Some sponsorships, and we got our first professional athlete in the
Yes.
mix, and looking forward to a lot more added in there. And I'm actually going to start writing and putting some stories down
Awesome.
on the site
Good.
this year. I'm resolving to do that. It's
I know that's
recorded, it's
yeah.
saved for posterity. I'm going to do it. So, Dan, if you're listening, it's going to happen. I guarantee it.
Any wrestlers
So,
that want to get in touch with us, and maybe we can get
yes,
some independent wrestlers hooked up with this and get them some sponsorships going. I know there's
absolutely.
a couple local guys that I need to keep bugging, so we can finally get them on and get some interviews. And I got a friend who's a teacher at my school. He wants to do a retro rewind one night, so we might try to make that happen. Greg, one day I'll let you know when we probably an off Saturday and just shoot the breeze about old school wrestling and past
Nice.
time. So I'll let you know when we make that happen. But yeah, I think we want to make this bigger and better. And any way that anybody can help us out, anything that we can do to make that happen, we're going to do it. So, but thank you for watching. I have to run out right now because I'm running late as it is, but that's okay. I'm going to go watch my Pacers take care of them Celtics, hopefully. And Greg, you enjoy the evening. So talk to you guys soon.